Noorsign Books presents Ramadan Miracles, Stories of Faith Found in the Ordinary. A Table for One, Part 2, The Space Between Walls. Sarah's quiet Ramadan is interrupted by a silent neighbor and a returned plate. In the space between their walls, a connection begins to form, teaching her that sometimes the most profound conversations happen without a single word. The next morning, when she opened her door to grab a parcel, she almost stepped on it. Her plate, washed, dried, stacked neatly on the hall carpet. On top of it, perfectly centered, lay a single plump medjool date. Sarah stared. No note, no words, just that small, sweet reply. Her throat tightened. She picked up the plate and the date with both hands. Wa iyaka, she whispered to the closed door of 3A, the answer to a blessing he hadn't actually said aloud. Days slipped into a quiet rhythm. Every evening, as Maghrib approached, she cooked a little extra. Sometimes it was just more lentils and rice. Other nights, when she'd managed to buy chicken or fresh vegetables, she divided the meat evenly between 2 plates, even if it meant less for herself. She told herself it was just neighbor's rights, nothing more. Every morning the plate came back, clean, often with a small token balanced on top, 2 wrinkled dates from a different brand than hers, a piece of samosa wrapped in napkin, once a single green chili. She lined those small gifts along her counter like tiny trophies. Their conversations were all through doors and walls. Once, as she recited Al-Fatiha, practicing her Tajweed, she heard his voice cut in through the thin plaster. No, he grumbled. Not like that. You sound like English YouTube. She froze mid-verse. Silence. Then he recited slowly, his voice rough but sure. غَيْرَ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. Not Gary. You people make it like cheese. Heat rushed to her face. Okay, she called back, mortified and oddly grateful. Jazakallahu khairan. A mutter in Somali answered. She couldn't catch the words, but the tone sounded more like exasperated fondness than anger. She repeated the line again, copying his vowels carefully. It felt like stretching a new muscle. On her fridge, his presence grew too. One night she was too tired to cook properly and made scrambled eggs with soy sauce and green onions, comfort food from her mother's kitchen. Embarrassed, she still split the plate and left half at his door. The next morning, the tray returned with a folded piece of lined paper. Eggs good. Too much soy sauce. Somali people not Chinese. But Jazakallahu khairan. -3A. She laughed aloud, sticking the note on the fridge with a magnet. His critique, strangely, felt like a kind of welcome.
At Masjid al-Huda, Ramadan buzzed like electricity. Rows of women shoulder to shoulder, soft murmur after a salat, children weaving between abayats like small comets. Near the entrance, a laminated flyer clung to the bulletin board. New Muslim Support Circle, Saturdays, 6 p.m., all welcome. A sticky note, different handwriting. Cancelled this week. Low registration. Inshallah after Eid. Sarah smoothed the curling edge with her thumb. Always inshallah after something, she muttered. The Tajweed recitation was beautiful. Standing in the rows did soothe something hollow in her. But afterwards, as families clustered for photos and tea plans, she found herself outside again, alone under the streetlights, coat wrapped tight. On Friday, she tried the smaller neighborhood masjid, a converted storefront, mismatched rugs, a buzzing heater in the corner. An older woman with henna'd hands and glasses descended on her like a gentle storm. Assalamu alaikum, Habibati. First time here? She asked without pause. I am Samira. You live close? Wa alaikum assalam, Sarah replied, a bit dazed. Yes, I'm just on Grosvenor, 3rd floor. Samira's eyes lit. Ah, Grosvenor. Many Muslimin there. You know old Uncle Abukar? Somali uncle? Always complaining? Sarah's heart stumbled. I think he's my neighbor. 3A? Samira clucked her tongue. Yes, that one. Very stubborn. May Allah give him afia. You tell him Samira says he must come for iftar one night. He doesn't listen to us. She wagged a playful finger. You don't run away after a salat. We have tea.
The tea turned out to be foam cups, store-bought cookies, and questions that mostly hovered at the surface, where she was from originally, whether her parents were Muslim. Not yet, Sarah said, the hopeful phrasing strange in her mouth. Still, when Samira pressed 2 tamrots into her palm for the walk home and declared, "You are our daughter now, don't stay alone too much," something in Sarah's chest loosened. That night, washing dishes, she heard raised voices through the wall, rapid Somali, overlapping, every so often English cut through. "Told you, Baba, Calgary. My home is here, I am not child." A phone slammed down. A string of half da, half complaint followed. Sarah pressed her palms flat against the cool wall. He has people, she thought. Sons, a masjid, he belongs somewhere. The thought was both comforting and strangely sharp. By the 20th night of Ramadan, the snow had mostly retreated. Puddles shrank. The sky held on to light a little longer. Sarah was stirring a pot of rice, humming along to a nasheed on her phone, when the building's fire alarm exploded into sound. An ear-splitting wail. Red lights on the ceiling flared and flashed. Her spatula clattered to the stove. No smoke in her kitchen. Somewhere else someone had burned something badly. She grabbed her phone, keys, and, almost automatically, the small plate with 3 dates she'd laid out. Shoes half on, she stepped into the corridor with everyone else. The hallway pulsed red. Doors yawned open. Confused tenants poured out. Kids excited, adults resigned. On the sidewalk, the cold bit through her socks. A fire truck rolled up lazily, its own lights painting the wet street. Beside her, 3A's door opened. Abukar emerged slowly, leaning heavily on his cane, cardigan pulled tight over his thobe. The alarm strobe made the lines on his face look deeper. His eyes flicked to the plate of dates in her hand. They all clustered near the curb, breath misting in the air. The alarm howled. Someone grumbled, "Every Ramadan, wallah." Sarah stood a little apart, clutching her plate. Abukar lowered himself onto the low concrete edge of a planter with effort, one hand pressed to his chest. She hesitated, then sat too, leaving a small, polite gap. Her phone's Adhan app began to sing faintly beneath the siren, a thin, beautiful sound almost swallowed by the noise. He noticed. His gaze dropped to her screen, then to the dates. "Bismillah, sister," he said, jerking his chin at her plate. "Eat. This is Toronto, not Il Medina. We are already late." She blinked. "I was waiting. I thought maybe..." He rolled his eyes up at the sky. "You wait, your stomach make Adhan louder than this alarm." He gestured at the shrieking building. A startled laugh escaped her. "Bismillah," she echoed, picking up a date. She hesitated, then held another out to him, palm open. He paused just a heartbeat, then took it with a curt nod. "Barakallahu fiki." They chewed in tandem under the flashing red. She handed him her water bottle. He drank, wiped the rim absently, passed it back. "I'm Sarah," she blurted. The name tumbled out as if the date had dislodged it. He looked at her properly for the first time. "I know," he said. "Your name is on the mailbox." Heat rose in her cheeks. "Right. I am Abukar, apartment 3A. Widower." He said it like listing items. 2 sons in Calgary. They send money. His mouth twisted. Not themselves. "I'm sorry," she said softly, "about your wife." He took a breath that sounded like it had edges. "Allah gave, Allah took," he replied. Routine words, weighed with real grief. The fire crew finally silenced the alarm. "Burned food," someone announced. "You can go back in." At the entrance, Sarah forced herself to ask, "Do you have somewhere to go for Eid?" The question felt too bold the instant it left her mouth. He laughed once, without humor. "Eid is day like any day. Dry cookies at masjid, 2 sweet tea. I come home. Enough." Then, side-eyeing her scarf and tired face, he added, "Chinese?" "Chinese-Canadian," she answered, 2nd generation. He grunted. "We are both something in between then." Back in her apartment, long after she'd reheated her cold rice, she sat on her prayer mat, heart still rattled. "Ya Allah," she whispered, hands raised. "Help me not just ask for people. Help me be someone for someone, even if it's just this one cranky uncle next door." Through the wall, a faint cough answered, like a rough Amin. She didn't yet know how quickly that dua would be tested.
The second half of Ramadan moved differently. The wall between 3A and 3B felt thinner. He opened his door more often when she knocked with food. Once, he lifted the foil on a steaming pot and sniffed. "What is this?" he demanded. "Shurba," she said, nervous proud. "Somali style. I found a recipe." "You put cilantro?" "Dried." He clicked his tongue. "Astaghfirullah.
Next time I show you proper. Dried cilantro is for, I don't know. But his eyes crinkled. Allah reward you. Another day, she heard him swearing gently at his phone. She knocked. Uncle, everything okay? He cracked the door and thrust the device at her. This shaitan machine. My sons send link for groceries. Order online, Baba. Easy. Nothing easy. I push here, everything disappear. She bit back a smile. I can help, if you want. No Instagram, he warned. No TikTok. I don't want to be influencer. She guided him through adding flour, milk, oil, dates. He hovered close, squinting at the totals. These numbers are your son's card, she checked. Yes, he thinks if I use, I feel less burden. The word landed heavy. We will see if he visits, not just sends rice. Packages started arriving at odd hours. She'd text Samira from the masjid, and the older woman appeared in her kitchen one afternoon with a sack of flour and zero respect for personal space. You live next to Uncle all this time and don't tell me, Samira scolded fondly, already opening Sarah's cupboards. I thought you converts are supposed to be brave. Soon, Sarah was chopping onions under Samira's brisk instructions, eyes streaming. We take soup to him tonight, Samira declared. You come. No overstep. The kitchen is between you. That evening, the three of them broke fast in his small apartment, Samira issuing orders, Abukar pretending to protest, Sarah trying not to cry over a simple bowl of soup. It was the first time she'd eaten in someone else's home since the night she'd walked out of her parents' door. Maybe that's why, a few days later, the sight of an ambulance parked crookedly outside their building hit so hard. Red lights bounced off brick. Paramedics wrestled a stretcher through the lobby. Old Somali guy on 3, the super said casually when she asked, voice too steady. Trouble breathing. He'll be fine, insha'Allah. On the stretcher, under the oxygen mask, she recognized the curve of his nose, the stubborn jaw. His eyes were closed. Uncle, escaped her lips, too soft for anyone to hear. Upstairs, 3A's door stood ajar. Inside, she could see just enough, a hot pan, a ladle mid-air, a congedo half-cooked, bubbles not yet set. He'd been in the middle of making iftar. She didn't step in. She couldn't. Back in her apartment, the silence from the wall roared. Her hands shook as she raised them after Maghrib. Ya Allah, I am so lonely, she choked. I thought being alone proved something, that it made my faith real. Maybe that was just my arrogance. Tears blurred her vision. If he's alive, let me see him again this Ramadan, please. If he's not, make me someone who doesn't waste the people you put right in front of me. She said Amin into a room that suddenly felt too big. The wall stayed silent, but it felt, somehow, like it was listening.
You've been listening to Ramadan Miracles, a Noorsign Books original. In the quiet hallways and shared meals, Sarah is learning that community isn't always found in a crowd. Sometimes it's built one plate, one date, one open door at a time. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next miracle. Visit noorsignbucks.com to join our community and get the full collection. Jazakal Mola Khairan.